Welcome to Aligned AF, real talk for evolving souls with Yahweh Kent. Join Yahweh for honest conversations on spiritual growth, the messiness of life, and how to move through it all at a higher frequency. So grab a cup of tea and let's sail in. This is Aligned AF, and here's Yahweh.
Hey there, everyone. How's it going? This is Yahweh, and I am excited to be back recording again. I have been gone for about a month. Long story long, I guess. A little over a month ago, my wife took a trip to Phoenix and Sedona, and during her travels, I'm assuming somewhere on the airplane, she got COVID. And so I spent about a week taking care of her. And then our little guy got it for like a day and a half, not even 36 hours. He was little fever, sore throat, snuffy nose, and then the afternoon and the next day he was fine. And I had my fingers crossed, but it didn't work, and I ended up getting it. So I've had COVID a few times now, and I'm a high risk person, and I've got some stuff going on with me that makes COVID kind of tough. Those of you that don't know me, I I only have one lung, which we'll get into in another episode. I lost it when I was 28 years old due to a tumor. And I've got some heart stuff going on. So when I get sick, it kind of kicks my ass. And excuse me. And COVID has done a number on me this time around. The sick part, being miserable and having a fever and bad cough and all that lasted a little over a week, but the exhaustion and the brain fog is still happening. And I just did not have the energy to try to record any videos. So I am finally starting to feel a little bit more human, and figured, I've been out of this for about 4 weeks now. I want to thank everyone who took the time to listen to the last podcast that I did, the one on grief and spirituality with Matty Rivera. It really went really well. I've had a ton of downloads on the various platforms, well over 260 views on YouTube. Really, really did well, and I was excited about that, so thank you. And if you haven't given it a listen, please track it down, because it's a really powerful episode. But I've been out of it for about a month now. I just have not had the energy or even the desire to try to talk to you guys, talk to anybody really. Just kind of getting through and trying to, maintain the household. Laura has been a huge help. Orion is always helpful if I need him. And so I'm finally, up and moving around and getting errands done. I find that I'm okay usually in the morning, where I get Orion ready for school, drop him off, and then I can usually, do the shopping. But by the time I get home, like 10:30, 11 o'clock, I feel like my ass got kicked, and it's been tough. I've spent a lot of time just kind of turning inward and relaxing as much as I can. So I wanted to get back in the swing of things here, and I figured I might as well start off with an episode about spiritual recovery, kind of rebuilding yourself after an illness, and giving yourself grace while you do it. So, like I told you, I pretty much got my butt kicked by COVID this time. What I'm having the most trouble with right now is brain fog and mental exhaustion. I was doing some research on COVID, and I'm thinking that I've got what they're calling long COVID, which lasts a few months, maybe longer. And brain fog and mental exhaustion are a big part of that. So what I'm experiencing is just no clarity, having trouble making decisions, having memory issues, can't remember a word for some reason, or it could be that I'm 63 years old. Maybe that has something to do with it. But my brain's been pretty spot on most of my life. I've parts of my body have started to give out, but my brain has always been right up there. So it's disturbing to me. It's disappointing to me, and it's just a tough thing to go through, because part of me wonders, is this what it feels like when old age just finally catches up to you and you start to lose part of your cognitive abilities? I can still do man, woman, person, camera, TV. Some of you will get that. And I play a lot of word games and logic games, and I'm okay with those, but with life, I'm just kind of slower than usual, and it's kind of kicking my butt. I have done some research on what I can do to help that, and other than, I don't want to be taking any drugs or anything. I don't want any pharmaceuticals of any kind, because God knows with my heart and my blood pressure, I'm on enough of those. But I have done some research on, what you can do for that brain fog, and obviously exercise, which I have not been able to get back into because my body is just so beat right now. But I do feel that desire to get back into the gym, and I'm going to try to do that this week, and pace myself, give myself the grace that I need. Some of the other things that you do, obviously, eating better. I know I can do a lot better on that. So I'm going to shift my focus on that. But I've also done some research on some natural remedies, and particularly around mushrooms. And I don't mean the psychedelic mushrooms. I went to college in the 80s. I've done my share of that kind of stuff, and I have to say, of all the drugs I may or may not have taken, I cannot attest to nor deny. Mushrooms would be the one that would be the most fun to do again, because there was a lot of laughter involved in that. But that's not something that is really in my life right now. There's really no interest in that. But in the natural mushrooms, the ones that are not of the psychedelic nature, like lion's mane and a few others, they really have helped a lot of people with memory issues, with cognition, with clarity. So I actually am going to, matter of fact, I should be receiving a delivery in the next couple of days. I'm going to try some low-key kind of specifically for brain boosting gummies, and see how those go. Now I've done the research. They're not going to interact with my medications or anything, and it's not something that I would be doing a lot of. And obviously, if it messes with me in any negative ways, I stop right away. But I've got to get my brain back, and I don't want to wait 6 months, 8 months, a year for my clarity to come back. see, I have these pauses where I'm just not sure what direction I wanted to go in. So some of the stuff that we go through when we go through an injury or an illness of some kind, something that, more than, say, a broken finger or something like that, something that really kind of kicks our asses, something that really knocks us down for a little while, we have to remember, first of all, life doesn't ask us when it's a good time to get sick. It just happens. We do everything we can to stay healthy. We try to eat well. We try to exercise. We try to, follow social distancing where it's appropriate. If anybody out there is still actually doing that, I try. And little things like, always washing your hands after being out in public, using, what's that stuff? See, I'm at a loss for a word there. The gel that you put on your hands, and I can't think of the word for it right now. But the antiseptic stuff that you put on your hands, I keep that in the car. But there's no good time to be sick. My wife works full time out of town, so I have to be present for our little guy, our 8-year-old. I have to make sure he gets to school. I have to make sure he gets picked up on time. I have to make sure he gets to piano lesson and swimming lesson. And I have to make sure that he's not doing too much game time and that he's, keeping his room clean. I have to make sure he's got breakfast and dinner and makes it to his play dates. If I am the one doing that, my wife does a lot of that too. So I when I'm down and getting my ass kicked, I feel like I'm not doing my job. Now, I'm an older gentleman, so I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and as a man, you're taught you do your job no matter what, even if you're fucking sick, you just do it. Because that's your role, that's your responsibility. What I have learned over decades of dealing with that is I finally have a partner in my life who values my well-being more than a little bit of inconvenience. And I haven't had that before, to be honest with you, in any relationship that I had, including my other marriages. You just sucked it up and went to work. You sucked it up and did your job, did what you were supposed to do around the house. Sick or not sick, it didn't matter. So I do have the grace of being able to slow down and take care of myself. That doesn't stop the guilt from being there, because that's something that was ingrained in me. That was something that was, just saturated into my very being from a very young age. Watching the men that were in my life when I grew up, whether it was my grandfather or my mom's boyfriends. I didn't have my biological dad around, so there was no dad, but there were boyfriends of hers, and just watching what I assumed a man was supposed to be like. So that stuff's still there. And even though I know the truth of it has shifted a great deal, it doesn't change that kind of nature, that environment has kind of placed in you. So coming to terms with that is kind of on top of what I'm dealing with. I'm trying to take the time to heal. I'm trying to deal with the brain fog, but in the same time, I'm juggling the guilt of not being 100% and taking care of everybody like I'm supposed to. It seems like my identity was attached to doing and producing instead of just being. And I think there's a lot of us that experience that, not just men. Moms experience the same thing, where you have what you think are certain expectations of being a mother or a father or a grandparent, or an older sibling. You have certain expectations that you think are there, and it can really mess with you when you are in a situation where you just cannot physically or mentally or emotionally support those things and continue with those things. But you got to give yourself grace. You got to allow yourself the time and the process that you need to get healing done. Because if you don't, then it's just going to take longer. If I push myself too hard, I'm going to end up in the fucking hospital. And that's not going to be good for anybody in my family, including me. But it's going to hurt my wife. It's going to hurt my son. It's going to hurt other people that may need to now help out because I am completely unavailable. So I'm giving myself the time and the grace to process the healing that I need to process. You cannot just push through it. That's not a healthy thing for you to do. Again, I mentioned the guilt. When other people are doing what you believe is your role, it's a tough situation to manage, because you tell yourself stories. Now, there are people out there that will make you feel bad about it. There are, because I have lived with some of those people where they don't give a shit what you're going through. It's your job. And if I have to do a little bit extra, that's just too inconvenient for me. And it's because you're not doing your job. I have lived with that person. There's 100% guarantee that she will never listen to this podcast. So I'm just going to say it was my first wife. Horror of a human being. Now, I wasn't a perfect husband, but just a horror of a human being. So there are people out there that are like that. But the guilt that we put on ourselves and the stories that we tell ourselves are based on observations and experiences that we've had since childhood. And they don't necessarily reflect the reality of our current situation. If you're with somebody right now who makes you feel like shit when you're unhealthy, makes you feel like crap because you don't have the physical or mental or emotional energy to support them right now, then I'm sorry, but I'm not recommending anybody leave anybody, but you can do better. You can do better. And I have. I am very pleased with the situation that I have now, and the wife that's in my life. She's incredibly supportive when I'm not feeling well and when I'm feeling good. You gotta let go of the idea that you feel useless, because that's old conditioning. That's just stuff that was slammed into you and pushed into you and punched into you. You can't be useless. You have to produce. You have to be a part of this. You have to do your part. Otherwise, you're useless. And nothing could be further from the truth. Nothing could be further from the truth. You have to shift that inner dialogue that's going on and that's telling you those stories. You got to remember that rest is not laziness and healing is not failure. Okay? I don't know who said that. I don't know if that's a quote or if it's just something good to say, but rest is not laziness and healing is not failure. Please make that your mantra. If you're not feeling well, take a few minutes to meditate and breathe and say to yourself, Rest is not laziness. Healing is not failure. Rest is not laziness. Healing is not failure. And just do that over and over and over until you actually believe it. You know, it's a shift. Sometimes it's such a massive paradigm shift for some of us that it takes time. It takes days, weeks, months to shift out of that old belief. But you really deserve to make that effort. You really do. You've fucking earned it, you know. And you know, on top of what your body's going through and what your emotions are going through, your spirit is getting its ass kicked at the same time. You disconnect sometimes from spirit. You think, oh, I don't have the energy to deal with this shit anymore. Or, what has spirit done for me? Why aren't you healing me? You just become disconnected from that spiritual journey that you feel like you've been on. Now, you're still on that journey. You're just having a bump in the road. And it's okay to feel that way once in a while. I have disconnected from spirit any number of times in my 63 years. And I've always seemed to find my way back. The key, I think, is recognizing that the reason you're disconnecting from spirit is not because spirit has let you down, but because you just physically and emotionally are in a tough spot right now. And when you come to that realization, then it becomes a little bit easier to kind of find your way back into it, where you can say, okay, I know that the reason I'm feeling like this right now is because I'm sick. It's because my body is struggling. And with that struggle, there's emotional fatigue. And with that fatigue, there's just this lack of connection with spirit that is not a permanent disconnect. But I recognize that it's there. Also, to look at the way spirit has not only supported us in the past, but how it really is kind of still supporting us. It's still there. Spirit, now, I keep saying spirit. It can be whatever you want it to be. You can call it God instead. You can call it the great almighty is. You can call it the universal life force energy. I call it spirit because it's easier to say. For me, when I say spirit, I mean everything. I mean the full connection of energy, the full connection of Christ consciousness, which has nothing to do with Christianity. I don't talk about that here. I may in a future episode, but it's not about religion. When I say the Christ consciousness, I mean the one collective consciousness that is Christed, meaning that it truly understands the one connection that each of us individual manifestations have. We are each individual manifestations of one consciousness. And so it's quicker and easier to say spirit than it is to keep saying Christ consciousness, Christ consciousness, Christ consciousness. And I think you guys would appreciate it if I said a little less sometimes. Yeah, probably. So recognizing that spirit still is there for us. We cannot, it's impossible. It is literally not physically, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, mythically, there's no way to disconnect from the collective consciousness. You can ignore it, you can deny it, you can say it's not real, but it doesn't change the fact that you're still connected to it. Okay? And part of when you're going through something like this, part of what you need to recognize is those moments of comfort and peace. Those moments where you actually have the chance to sit and to breathe and to just be one with whatever's going on at the moment, and to truly understand that that connection doesn't change. That connection is always there. It's a slow rebuild, okay? You got to, this is not something you can hurry up, and I know that, God, you wish you could, and it's frustrating when it keeps seeming to take longer and longer and longer. Believe me, when I got COVID, I thought to myself, well, maybe I'll be lucky this time and it'll be a short one. And then all of a sudden it was into the second week, and I was just like, okay, well, by the end of this week, I'll feel a lot better. And I didn't. So I got into the third week, and I was like, okay, this is getting to be too much. I can't seem to move my ass. I still have to do my stuff. I was literally taking my son to school, going to the store to pick up a few things, coming home and laying on the couch for the rest of the afternoon. That's how much it was kicking my ass. And quite honestly, after I record this episode, let me see, it's like 11 o'clock in the morning right now on a Monday. Honestly, I'll probably finish up this, do the editing, and then I'll end up on the couch because I'm pretty beat. And I did drop my son off, and I did go to the grocery store, and I did stop and pick up water jugs and things like that. But I'm still honoring what it's doing to my body. It's a slow rebuild. It's a slow process. Recovery is not a straight line. There's no, I'm at point A, there's point B, here's how I get there. Because there's going to be dips and dumps and speed bumps and potholes and all this stuff along the way. And you got to be okay with that, because there's no way around them. You just gotta face every single thing as it comes and honor the process. You have to allow yourself to rebuild gracefully. You got to give yourself the grace and the love and the comfort that you need, especially if there's nobody else giving that to you. You deserve the grace and the comfort of allowing your body and your mind and your spirit to heal fully, to not just get part way and then go balls out on everything else, because it's just going to kick you back to where you were, possibly even further back. It could make things even worse. So if there's anybody out there that has experienced this, and you've got someone in your life that's saying, hurry the fuck up, I need you to get this done, or hurry the fuck up, I'm not going to do this for you, then honestly, fuck them. Take your time and let them know that you are not going to jeopardize your well-being because they are a little bit inconvenienced. It's a partnership, and you deserve a break just as much as you would support someone else. Keep in mind that when you're going through this and you're dealing with the slow process and maybe not getting all the stuff done that you want to get done, you haven't lost your purpose. What you're doing is you're rebuilding yourself so that you can get back to it. Because your purpose in life is not attached to tasks, okay? It's not attached to how much you can do for another person. It's attached to what you do for yourself. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. What you do for yourself, what you do to make sure that you are healthy, that you are whole, that you are fully present, that you are emotionally charged, that you are spiritually uplifted. All of that is your purpose. Your purpose is not to make sure you're constantly on the move for another person. Please don't believe that. Don't tell yourself that story. Honor the fact that it's a slow rebuild. Honor the fact that if you don't take the time now, it's going to take you longer to get back to where you want to be. So you got to give yourself permission to take the time that we're talking about. You have to say to yourself, this is okay. I give myself permission to do what I need to do to truly heal. It's okay. I deserve this. And you're going to have to shift some things. You're going to have to shift the way you create your reality. You have to remember that the world, your world, still needs you. I think I'm gonna kind of end it there, because first of all, it's kind of kicking my butt for talking this long, and I'm having some cognitive stuff going on, and I don't know that I got that much left in me to talk about. So that's where I've been. I appreciate your time. I appreciate it if you've listened to this episode. Please, please, please go back and listen to some of the other episodes. There's a few of them that have gotten a lot of attention. The one on, like I said, the one on grief and spirituality has gotten a lot of attention. The one on meeting my high self and knocking him the fuck out, that one has done really, really well as far as interaction on the different platforms and on YouTube. It's good to, there's a part of me that's really, really happy I did this, and it feels good to kind of get back into the swing of things. I've got a couple of episodes planned. I've got an episode that I want to record with my wife on spiritual partnership, and we'll talk about all that stuff, twin flames and beloveds and all that stuff. And also Orion still wants to do the episode on Minecraft and how spiritual that can be, so I'm looking forward to that one. And I've got others in the works. So to those of you out there that listen, that we have had a discussion about doing a future episode, you're still in my mind, and I'm still making plans, so please have patience with me. And for those of you that have listened to me in the past and have found your way back to me, thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't plan on getting this sick again. Of course, we never do. And I don't plan on it taking several weeks or a month to do another episode. So I am grateful for each and every one of you. I love most of you. And it feels good to be talking again. It does. And I'm going to go take a nap now. So take care of yourselves. Thank you for listening. And remember that every single day you're getting closer to Aligned AF. Take care. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode spoke to you at all, share it with a friend or someone who needs it. You can also leave a review or connect with me online. You can find Aligned AF on YouTube, Facebook, your favorite podcast channel, or at alignedaf.org. And if you want to reach out directly, you can email me at alignedafpodcast@gmail.com. So until next time, stay aligned AF.